Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today is the day after all the waiting, after all the anticipation and the rumors and the speculation. Borderlands 3 has been officially revealed. We have a trailer, we've seen what the world's going to be like, we've seen the characters and the guns and everything, and here in this video we're going to be breaking down that trailer. But before we get into that, I want to show you guys the trailer in its entirety, just in case you guys haven't seen it yet. Then after that, we're going to break it down pretty much frame by frame. There's going to be a ton of information here in this video, so hopefully you guys will sit back, relax, and enjoy. But without further ado, here is the official Borderlands 3 reveal trailer. Ladies and gentlemen, what an awesome trailer that was. There was so much information in there, way more than what meets the eye your first one or two times watching it, and that's going to be the focus of this video here today. So we're going to be breaking down this trailer basically frame by frame. I've already seen this trailer and went through it frame by frame several times already, so I feel as though I've seen pretty much everything that there is to see in here, but who knows, maybe we'll actually discover a couple of more things here in this video. But at the very beginning, notice the story that they're telling us, right? The Psycho has abandoned his mask. He threw it on the ground, and now he's going towards the Children of the Vault cult, essentially, which is run by the Calypso twins. Now, we're going to be seeing the Calypso twins more throughout here, but from what we can infer from the trailer itself, and ignoring leaks here for a second, just talking about the trailer itself, we already have an idea of what the story is going to be about. We have the two Calypso twins right here. The female, as you can see on the right, is a siren, and on the left, the brother has markings of a siren, but boys can't be sirens in the Borderlands universe, and also his markings are red. Well, the story, based on what we see here during the trailer, is he and his sister and this entire cult, essentially, are stealing the powers of the other sirens in the universe. And we're going to be seeing a very famous siren in this trailer losing her powers, which again is one of those things where your first time watching the trailer maybe didn't really notice it, but you're going to notice it definitely here in this video. Right here we see Lilith looking fantastic, by the way. I put together a comparison here. This is how the graphics have changed over the years. And I apologize for the Borderlands 2 image. I can't find like a more high-res, large image of Lilith on Google, but you guys can see like how she has evolved over time from the original Borderlands to Borderlands 2, then of course here in Borderlands 3. And I'll probably do another video on this in the future, but there was a terrible Polygon article where they said that the graphics haven't really changed whatsoever and how they wanted Borderlands to be Battle Royale and how this looks like a DLC expansion for Borderlands 2. Oh my gosh, that article still has me triggered. But let's focus on the trailer here today. Here are going to be the 4 Vault Hunters, which it's interesting just how many of the leaks that we had a while back, just how many of them actually turned out to be true. Like, every single one of them turned out to be true. Like a melee-focused Siren, the Beastmaster, as well as the Mech Warrior, and the Operative, I suppose, Zane. He's definitely pretty interesting, and here we're actually going to be seeing some of their abilities in action. As you guys can see here, of course, we have some scenery, but then after that, we get to see the Siren, and this is very strange. It doesn't really show her abilities or anything, but it does show us this, which is really hard to make out. I'm not sure what that's really supposed to represent, but, I mean, okay, that's there. Let's go back one more time just in case, so you guys get a better look. Can't quite tell what that's supposed to mean or represent. Even if you flip it backwards and forwards, doesn't really make a ton of sense, really. But if we go forward here, we get to see some of the abilities of the other characters in the game. Here's going to be the Operative, Zane, I believe his name is, and apparently he's going to be basically like this character that can send out decoys. He's going to be a stealthy assassin-y kind of a character. He looks like he's going to be really interesting, like a very unique blend of Zero from Borderlands 2 and maybe the Handsome Jack clone from the pre-sequel. Then, of course, we have the Beastmaster, and what's really cool about this is there are 3 different animals behind him, and we see him with these animals throughout the trailer. So basically what we are speculating, we don't know for a fact right now, but it appears either you choose his pet for the situation, or perhaps depending on how you build into different talents, you get different pets that are going to be available, but these are going to be the pets that he has, which is definitely pretty cool. And then right here after him, we end up getting the Mech Warrior, who of course has the giant mech robot, which can in fact be interacted with by the other Vault Hunters. So if you have somebody playing as her, and I believe her name is Mose, if I recall correctly. Keep in mind, guys, we're just going off of the names that they have during the leaks. We don't know for a fact if these are going to be the ship names for the characters, but the leaks say her name is Mose. But her mech robot back there, her teammates can actually use it. So, like, if you're playing as the Beastmaster, for example, you can actually get inside that mech and run around, which is pretty freaking cool. But those are going to be the 4 Vault Hunters. As you can see, they're going to be jumping across right here, and that's all well and good, I suppose. Really quickly, right here may actually be the introduction scene to the game, if you think about it, right? I mean, you look at the fact that it says welcome, there's a new U station, and there's also Claptrap right there. Our Claptrap, in fact. This may be the introduction scene to the game. I'm just saying it's entirely possible. But like I was saying, right here, once we get past all this, we're actually going to be seeing the abilities of the Siren. As you guys can see, she has 6 arms, which is like, okay, well, what the heck is that all about? That's pretty freaking cool. Well, we're going to be seeing later on in the trailer that those arms are going to be used for punching, and that characters are going to have multiple different abilities as compared to the one ability that we've seen in all the previous Borderlands games. But really quickly here, guys, check out this scenery. Like, the Japanese influence is very clear here. Really freaking cool looking. I can't wait to see locations like this in the game. It looks really freaking nice. But let's continue on here. Here we see the Vault Hunters along with Tannis and a vault key. Keep in mind, we have the Morse code Easter egg from Battleborn, which says that Tannis is not who she says she is, essentially. So we're not really supposed to trust Tannis, but she's going to be helping the Vault Hunters with vault keys here in this game. And it's looking like we're going to be having multiple vaults in this game as well, which is definitely pretty cool. But continuing on, as you guys can see, once again, the mech warrior robot here is going to be able to be controlled by the other vault hunters, which is freaking awesome. We see Zane up there. So freaking cool, man. So freaking cool. There's just so many little things about that in this game that really seem to suggest that the gameplay is going to be vastly improved. We're not talking about just having a bunch of different weapons and stuff like that, but the characters themselves and their abilities are going to be vastly improved over things that we saw back in Borderlands 2 or the pre-sequel or even Borderlands 1, of course, and I'm definitely pretty excited about that. You can see the Vault Hunters back there running towards an arena, and it looks like arenas and raids and big bosses like that are going to be a big deal here in Borderlands 3, but as you guys can see here, we have a bunch of different kinds of technicals, different skins for technicals. I'm noticing something like a dozen different vehicles in this game, which is pretty freaking nuts. I'm pretty happy about that. Let's back up here just for a second. Here is going to be one of the Calypso twins. This is going to be the Siren. And I have a feeling I know what scene they're trying to show here, but we'll cover that later on here in the video, just to be sure. Just to be sure. But again, look at this. Look at the different attacks and the damage and the fights that are going on here. Wait, did they show the same clip twice? They did. Why they? I just realized the trailer shows the exact same clip twice. That's actually pretty funny. But again, more technicals. Looks so freaking good. Here are going to be some of the female psychos, and because we're likely heading to Promethea here in this game, we're going to be seeing a lot of different kinds of bandits and psychos and things like that. They're not going to be the same, you know, dare I say, generic-looking psycho that we've seen in the previous games. There's going to be a wide variety of them, and they're also going to have a wide variety of weapons, which, once again, we're going to be showing that here in this trailer. And, again, the vehicle is so freaking cool-looking. It's like a mix of what we saw in Borderlands 1, 2, and the pre-sequel, all thrown together with different variants and different types and weapons and colors and schemes, and it's all so freaking good. Looks so freaking fantastic. Here's going to be one of the psychos from Promethea. Again, I'm assuming Promethea here. But just notice how the heads look different, the ears are a little bit bigger, they just look a little bit different in general, but of course they are still human. Now here's what I was talking about earlier. Notice how the Siren has those 6 arms, right? Well, here you can see the arms all kind of punching towards the same area, which kind of lends itself to the leaks that said that the Siren's going to be a melee-focused character, and you think to yourself, okay, well her big ability is going to be a big old Siren punch, essentially, right? Well, it's more than that, and we'll be seeing that later on here in the trailer. Guys, there's so much to freaking see. That's an interesting looking fella. Might actually be a mini boss, kind of like Nine Toes, maybe. We really don't know. But let's continue on. Here we see the Vault Hunters all kind of back to back and shooting. Go forward here, we see the mask from earlier once again. Here's going to be one of the pets. Remember, we saw 3 pets for the Beastmaster. Here's going to be one of them, which looks so cool. I talked about this during the live stream, but it appears there's a bit of a problem with the trailer itself, because notice how the light that's coming from the mechanical part of the, we'll call it a skag dog thing. Notice how it's kind of clipping through the body. And the reason why I say skag dog thing is it looks a bit different than an average skag, doesn't it? Like, it's a skag, but it's got like metal on it, and its mouth is also a little bit different, but of course it does have the bandana, which is fantastic. But this scene alone is basically what made me really want to play as the Beastmaster in Borderlands 3. But here's going to be our first look at a Goliath, and he looks freaking angry. He's literally glowing red. And of course we have a swampy background there. Now, right here on the left, we're going to see that tire vehicle that we saw during the Mask trailer, and it's so freaking cool. But notice how the guns are on the side of it. There's going to be guns on either side, and also it's basically rocket-propelled, it appears there. It's going to go pretty fast. That's freaking cool. Again, there are so many vehicles in this game. Now, here we see a flamethrower, and there's some speculation that perhaps a flamethrower is going to be an actual usable weapon in the game itself. And I'm noticing, going back, look at the trees in the background. So many little things like this I didn't really notice my first time watching the trailer, but notice how things are just kind of floating? There's no actual wood there. Like, okay. But either way, the focus of this shot here, you're gonna notice lots of little like visual things like that, which if you go back and watch any old trailer, there's so many little things like this and that you can find in there. But the big focus would obviously be the flamethrower. Right, the flamethrower, potential weapon. It could just be an enemy type, right? Give or take. But honestly, it'd be cool if flamethrowers were a thing. And we're going to be seeing some projectile, like laser beam weapons later on, which I'll be showing you guys. But check out this gun right here that is being held by the Siren. So freaking good looking. The weapons, I mean, I talked about it a lot during my live stream, but it's so freaking, again, bugs with the trailer. But we talked about it so much during the live stream. All the weapons we see here in this trailer they look like they belong in the Borderlands universe, but they don't lean too much on stuff that we saw in Borderlands 2 or the pre-sequel or even Borderlands 1. They all look completely unique. They're all unique weapons to this game, which is freaking awesome. The guns are, I mean, obviously the weapons are a big deal in Borderlands. They're obviously one of the big selling points for the game, but they look so fantastic. They really do. And I can't get over the fact that the beams keep going through her model, but either way, let's get past that. Here we see Lilith on the ground. She has her, I mean, she's a siren and everything. She still, she still has her siren powers. She still has her Flame of the Firehawk wings and everything, but she's looking a little worse for wear right now down there on the ground. It's like, oh, what happened to old Lilith? You okay? We'll be seeing more of that later on. Believe me, guys. Now here we see Maya, right? The siren from Borderlands 2, and we saw during the Mask trailer that she was handing a book off to a child, right? Which kind of signified maybe one siren passing her knowledge off to another siren. Well, here in this trailer, we see that character yet again, and they're definitely buddies. They're fist bumping, just like we saw with Maya and Lilith in the Borderlands 2 trailer, right? Bit of a callback there. So this kid here may actually be a siren. We really don't know, but if this kid's a siren, then what about this kid, which we saw during the Mask trailer? No idea. We don't see that kid, or at least I don't think we see that kid in this new reveal trailer. But I guess we'll figure it out later on, guys. I guess we will figure it out. But Maya is definitely friends with this kid right here, who may or may not be a siren. Here's a pretty cool shot, of course, of the Beastmaster with a really cool-looking gun. I mean, again, the guns in this game are so fantastic looking. It's not like in the pre-sequel where they basically just took all the assets from Borderlands 2 and just built a new game around that. But here's what I'm talking about, guys. This is the scene, which is kind of like basically giving us an idea of what the story of this game is going to be like. We see Lilith on the ground in an arena of some sort. Vault key at her side, which is not lit up. She's looking distraught. She's kind of reaching for the vault key, and behind her are the Calypso twins, right? You see the siren tattoos on the girl. You see the guy there, this big mechanical arm and everything, and you notice how Lilith no longer has her siren tattoos. Now, we can basically infer just from the trailer itself that they somehow took her powers, right? She's lost her siren abilities. But there are leaks and rumors that have been going around, and take them with a grain of salt. Of course, they're unconfirmed, but there are leaks that have been going around even before this went live that the brother, the male Calypso twin, is stealing power from other sirens. And then we see this, and it very clearly looks like they took Lilith's power. Does that mean she's going to die? We don't know. But it looks like they take her power. And who knows, maybe they're going to take Maya's power. Maybe they're going to take the power of all the sirens in the universe and give them all to this guy, essentially. We have no idea, right? But they're obviously the villains of the game. But there are more villains, which we're going to be talking about here in this trailer. There's definitely a lot more to be seen. But as you can see, like, they're doing a bit of a... Oh, they're not even doing a handshake. Go back just for a sec. You see this here. Notice how they're kind of like doing that, if you were trying to pull somebody up a cliff or something like that, you would maybe like grab their wrist and they would grab your wrist and you guys would pull that way instead of grabbing hands. Notice how they're holding each other's forearms essentially, which may be transferring over. Maybe the female took the power from Lilith and then gave some of that siren power to her brother. Not entirely sure, but it's definitely a weird handshake they had there. And Lilith, again, looking very, very distraught. Now, going on here at the trailer, there's a lot more to see here, guys. There's so much to see. Okay, definitely a long scene there. Get ready to cheer explode. Don't actually cheer explode, apparently. Apparently, we should not be cheer exploding, but more vehicle shots. The vehicles, again, there's like a dozen at least of them. They're all so fantastic. Here is going to be that Skag pet along with the Beastmaster once again. This is probably going to be the character I'm playing as, and just judging from the look of it, it's not confirmed, but I'm almost positive that the Beastmaster is going to be Loaderbot from Tales from the Borderlands. If that turns out to be true, I would be so happy. I would be so happy. I love Loaderbot. If you guys saw my Let's Play, like, Loaderbot was like by far my favorite character. Of course, him and Gortys, right? Let's continue on. And here we see, just again, Zane, the operative, and then behind him is going to be that tire vehicle that has guns on both sides. Really freaking cool looking. But just really, just kind of is meant to show that the vehicles are pretty cool, right? The vehicles are pretty awesome here in this game. And here you see, of course, the mech warrior driving it. And then you see her right here with a bandit behind her. You get kind of a cool look at the guns, but not really, we don't really learn too much from this shot right here. Not really too much. Now, if you're wondering, when it comes to characters from the previous Borderlands games that we've spotted here in these trailers, nobody so far has been able to see Krieg or Salvador or Gage, I don't think. I don't think Gage has been spotted either. which is really strange. We did see Axton in the Mask trailer, but that's pretty much it. Now, here is going to be what appears to be like the main headquarters for the Children of the Vault cult, essentially, right? And we also see some first-person angles of the different weapons here, which look fantastic. So freaking good. But right here, guys, right here, this city looks absolutely freaking fantastic. I was mind blown when I first saw this city during the trailer. I didn't think it was real. I thought we were looking at a hologram of some sort, but this city is indeed real. We see many more instances of it throughout the entire trailer, and it appears, and of course, this is just speculation. We're looking at the trailer. We don't really know these things for a fact, but it's looking like this city here could be the new Concordia, the new Sanctuary, the new New Haven for Borderlands 3. Right, but also it appears it's going to house another one of the game's major villains. Everybody's kind of focused on the Calypso twins and the fact that they're apparently taking powers away from sirens, but there's an evil corporation, or a seemingly evil corporation here in Borderlands 3, and it's not who you think. Right? It's definitely not who you think. Like, if you think of evil corporations, you might think Hyperion, right? Obviously. Or maybe to a lesser extent, maybe Jacobs, if you learned a bit about them during Borderlands 1. But, oh no. Very different corporation, but we'll cover that once we actually get to that point in the trailer. Right now, we're seeing some first-person running action in various locations that we're going to be visiting during the game, which just all look pretty freaking good. Right here, we're heading into a church for the Children of the Vault. As you guys can see, we have the makeshift pews and the lights and everything, so definitely a church for the cult. This, I have no idea. I mean, this could be multiple things. They could be charging up a vault key. This could be a random location. I mean, no one really knows what this room's going to be, but just check it out, soak it in, pretty freaking good, and just judging from all the lights, I would imagine that we're looking at something that's going to be a pretty big deal in the grand scheme of things in Borderlands 3. Here we have the Holy Broadcast Center, which is, I would imagine, the like a radio tower, essentially. We see more of this later on, but basically where they broadcast radio waves, which maybe radios will be a bigger deal in this game as compared to previous ones. We did have that one radio in Sanctuary in Borderlands 2, which would play advertisements and stuff like that, as well as a radio show, but, I mean, the Children of the Vault are pretty much everywhere, which really suggests that we're going to be heading to Promethea, because everything is already set up, essentially. They run pretty much everything, but here's going to be a nice swampy region. We have so many different and unique locations that we see here in this trailer, which is fantastic. Here we see Ellie's Scrap Garage. Now, obviously, Ellie's going to be here. We're going to see more of her later on in the trailer, but this is going to be her garage. We can see a vending machine in there, as well as she's going to be working on cars, right? We haven't seen Janie Springs, interestingly enough, in this trailer, or really anywhere. Like, what's going on with Janie Springs? Where's Athena and all this? We really have no idea, but we do know that Ellie is going to be taking part in this somehow, and she's a bit different, let's say, than what we saw back in Borderlands 2. Her appearance is a little bit different. She didn't lose weight, but she lost something else. Now, this is what I think could be, just judging from the tower and then the, you know, all the signals and the radio towers and stuff like that we see here, that this is going to be inside that broadcast center, essentially. I think this is on the inside. I could be wrong, but just based on what we're looking at here, it's definitely a stronghold for the Children of the Vault. Now, let's keep on going on here. This looks like just, you know, maybe an arena, just a random place, right? A random bandit stronghold that we've seen countless times in Borderlands. Like, we don't really need to read too much into this, but just cool locations, right? Freaking awesome looking. Here's going to be the swampy area once again, and notice how they're always making use of the string lights here in this game, which may or may not be one of the ways that they try to distinguish Promethea from Pandora. Now, obviously, string lights are kind of a thing in Borderlands, but we see them a lot here in Borderlands 3, so just something to bear in mind. I mean, even Ellie's Garage had them as well, and Ellie's Garage is different than the one we see out in the dust in Borderlands 2, but here's going to be a shot, once again, of the Calypso twins, and notice how the guy, he has those markings on his face, which are red as compared to the normal Siren Blue, as well as his arm, which that's the same arm that he and his sister were doing that weird little handshake with. He's got what appears to be siren tattoos right there. It's hard to tell from this angle, but they're red, and it just kind of goes back to the leaks and everything that we're kind of putting together here, that they're somehow taking the power from other sirens and putting them into him, even though guys aren't supposed to be able to be sirens, right? That's like part of the canon of the Borderlands universe, that all sirens who are born are female. But apparently they're just tired of that because they're twins, and I don't know, maybe he was jealous his sister got to be a siren, so they decided to work together to make him kind of like a siren. We don't know, but that appears to be kind of like the overarching plot of Borderlands 3, which is really cool. Now, here is going to be a giant arena with a giant robot mech thing, and notice how there is a how there's just like this big blade going towards the Vault Hunters, which kind of suggests to me that not only are we going to be seeing boss fights, that's a given, right? Boss fights are going to be a big part of the game, but also I feel like the boss fights are going to be ramped up quite a bit. I feel like more PvE mechanics like this are going to be implemented, sort of similar to raids in World of Warcraft, for example. I think that's going to be a thing. I really do, and that would be fantastic. But here's going to be a town in that swampy region that we saw previously. Notice the cool vehicle going through. Notice the little, whatever kind of creature that's supposed to be. I think it's native to Promethea. But also, notice the giant dinosaur in the center of your screen, which is just run about, stops, and then, you think it's gonna roar? It's gonna breathe fire. The creatures in this game are gonna be freaking nuts, man. They are gonna be freaking nuts. And right here we see what appears to be either a boss character or maybe just a kind of enemy, but probably a boss character, judging from all the armor and how big it is and the fact that there's a smaller character on its back. Definitely an enemy of some kind. Here's gonna be just another one of those creatures, which appears to be infused, potentially, with explosive damage or something, because notice how it's glowing yellow and then hits the ground, and then rocks somehow come from the steel floor. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. And that's kind of glowing, right? It's just weird little creature. I imagine we're going to see lots of weird creatures like that in Borderlands 3. Here we see, oh man, we see the return of the Varkids, or at least a kind of Varkid. I'm hoping Vermivorous or something like Vermivorous is going to be in this game, because that would be fantastic. I mean, Vermivorous was hard to spawn, but it was fun, right? And here's that same big robot arena thing, boss guy, and the Beastmaster fighting it. But here, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be our next shot of that amazing nighttime neon city, right? Now, notice, when I first saw this, I thought, are these going to be the Iridians, right? The Iridians, so far, we haven't really seen too much about them, and these are some really oddly shaped robots. But notice how they're completely covered in Maliwan insignia. We have the M there, we have the actual Maliwan logo there on the chest, and it's basically everywhere, right? Maliwan, right? The M symbol that we saw in the Mask trailer as well. Maliwan is somehow going to be playing a role here inside this city. And this is the first we really see of them, but we're going to be seeing a lot more of them. And those the little StarCraft bots in the background as well. Pretty freaking cool. But just look at that. I mean, it brings up so many questions. That looks so much like the Iridians to me, but it's obviously Maliwan. So is Maliwan run by the Iridians, or is just maybe it's like some sort of a super advanced robot? Because obviously Maliwan are known for being like the super sophisticated weapon brand, right? It kind of makes sense. But in this part of the trailer, we get a we get a saxophone solo from Brick. Everybody enjoyed that. He also has a mustache in this, but he doesn't have a mustache later on, which is kind of odd. But going back to it, I mean, here are some of those strange-looking people that we find, presumably on Promethea. They're just different looking. I mean, they're oddly shaped compared to the normal, traditional, dare I say, generic bandits and outlaws that we see on Pandora. So something to bear in mind there. Also, a Ferris wheel in the background, kind of cool. This right here, again, notice the M logo on the knee pads. This is definitely part of Maliwan, but this seems to suggest that the frost element or the ice element is going to be returning for this game, which would be fantastic. I'd be a big fan of that. And more saxophone from Brick. I mean, the crowd pretty much erupted during the reveal when this happened. It was so funny. Everybody loved that. Everybody loved to see the saxophone solo. But your friends are here to save the world. And right here, ladies and gentlemen, wait for it. Wait, oh, here we go. We got Maya. She's back. Much longer hair than before, but she's back. But notice, unlike Lilith, she has her tattoos. At least so far, she still has her tattoos right here. Definitely pretty interesting. I love the fact that the Vault Hunters, like the playable Vault Hunters from the old games, become NPCs and characters in the newer games. It's so freaking good. And right here, ladies and gents, is the moment lots of you were waiting for. Tiny Tina, now grown up. And the thing is about Tiny Tina, it's so hard to pinpoint her age right now, right? Because everyone's kind of wondering, how old is Tiny Tina in this game? The leaks are suggesting that Borderlands 3 is set 5 years after Borderlands 2. And in Borderlands 2, Tiny Tina was 13. But even though everybody else is visibly older and has changed their appearance, I mean, look at Mordecai there, for example. He looks way different. Tiny Tina is the only one that was like a child in the previous games. Therefore, how old she is in this game kind of shows how much time has actually passed. And looking at her, I mean, she looks like she's at least like 17, 18, maybe even in her 20s, right? So at the very least, I would say Borderlands 3 is going to be 5 years in the future. But notice on her chest how she has that logo. It's a skull with what look to be wings, but it's kind of like an explosion with a bee on it, right? And she's dancing with her doll, and she turns around. You can see that same logo on her backpack. Now look over at Mordecai. Look at his left shoulder as well as his left leg. You see that same logo. Unfortunately, we don't see that same logo on Brick, but they're all wearing the same color, essentially. They're all wearing that black and yellow. So it's looking like, we don't know the name of it. I mean, Badonkadonks, the Booms, we don't know. But there's going to be some sort of a new faction or a group, kind of like the Crimson Raiders, perhaps, which is maybe led by Brick, Mordecai, and Tiny Tina. How freaking cool is that? That is definitely pretty freaking cool, but she also has a brand new mascot as well, which was shown at the reveal. But here we're going to see Ellie for the first time, right? Remember how I said she's different? She didn't lose weight, but she lost a different thing? Well, notice her right hand. It's been replaced by a drill. Seems impractical, if I'm being honest. A little bit impractical. But she's definitely rocking a drill for an arm, which is... Wait a minute. This is potentially... Okay, this is possibly a tool that she's using, and you just kind of like stick your hand in the tool to operate it. Or this is another glitch with the trailer. Notice how her hand, you see her finger? I'm not sure if that's a glitch or if that's intended. We'll have to see, I suppose. It may just be a tool. That's actually cool. Maybe she didn't actually lose her hand. I think it may actually just be a tool and her hand's clipping through it. I don't know. By the way, going back to the Mask trailer, we see Ellie with a ship, right? Which seems to kind of suggest that maybe she's going to follow in her brother's footsteps and help build a rocket, which is going to take us to Promethea. That could be the case, right? That could very well be the case. Now here, we see Hammerlock, Lady Hammerlock, and this guy. Nobody knows who this person is. In the Mask trailer, he was right next to Tannis, which kind of seems to suggest that he's going to be Tannis' dad, maybe, or something like that, right? Or relative, or friend, or associate. We have no idea. Maybe it works for Doll Corporation. We have no clue. But he was seen next to her. And so we have to wonder what's going on with him because, again, the Battleborn Easter egg says do not trust Tannis. And Tannis is next to this guy who we've never seen before. And he looks like a trademark villain, right? He's all dressed eccentrically and he's got pockmarked face, a little bit of dirt there, crazy hairdo. I don't know. Do we trust him? Do we not trust him? Definitely an interesting character, but Hammerlock's going to be there, which is pretty cool. Definitely like Hammerlock in some of his missions. Now here is very interesting. We see Claptrap being sucked up by a giant magnet, essentially, right? And we're left wondering, like, is this the grisly death of Claptrap? Was it an accident? We can see there on his right hand, it's hooked. Like, he's hooked to this, so he may have accidentally got attached to it, or maybe he's being attacked in a junkyard of sorts, and maybe they're going to kill him off. I mean, we don't know. We do know they're replacing the voice actor for Claptrap this time around. But we see him attached to this giant magnet in what appears to be a scrapyard. And yeah, I mean, I hope Claptrap turns out to be okay. We'll be talking more about Claptrap here later on. Now, here is one of the best parts of the trailer for so many people. We're going to keep going forward here for a second. Check it out, guys. Reese is back from Tales from the Borderlands. He's got the Atlas belt buckle. He's got the Atlas colors of like that whitish gray and the red. He's older, visibly. He's got the mustache even. And also, Zero is right there next to him, along with the Crimson Lance / Crimson Raiders, whatever they're calling themselves these days. So freaking cool. But the big question is, how'd he get here? Right? We have no freaking idea. At the end of Tales from the Borderlands, spoiler alert, he and Fiona, they get inside the vault of the Traveler, and they disappear. They just disappear. We have no idea where they went or what happened to them, but we know now that we're going to see him here with Zero in tow in Borderlands 3. But the question is, what happened to him? There's a big gap between disappearing inside of a vault and being the head of Atlas Corporation. Like, he was the head of Atlas in Tales from the Borderlands. Like, he acquired it and everything. That's all fine and dandy. We knew that. But even after he became the head of Atlas, he disappeared. Like, after that happened. So there's a big gap between, disappearing in the vault and what we see right here. And I want to know what the heck happened. But Zero is back. I think lots of people are pretty happy about that, as was Reese. Unfortunately, and minor spoiler here, we don't see Sasha or Fiona in this trailer. Now, here we see Tannis along with our boy Marcus and what appears to be the back of Moxie. I would assume that's Moxie. Obviously, it's blurry, but probably Moxie, right? If you guys don't know, Marcus and Moxie were briefly married at one point. But this really goes to show, again, just how good the graphics are. So freaking good. Like, the visual upgrade between what we saw back in, like, 2012 versus the art style here in 2019, so freaking good. It's so good. Now, here's going to be another shot of the Vault Hunters just running out of what appears to be a Children of the Vault arena of some sort, right? Just kind of running out, guns in tow. And one more thing. And what more what? Over 1 billion guns! Now, what's interesting is they did not specifically show the legendary rarity here. We just see the traditional green, blue, and purple, right? Your rares and your commons and your epics and stuff like that. We didn't see a legendary in particular, but we did see some really cool guns, which I'll be showing that here in just a second. But we have guns with legs, and we see this little fella. What the heck is this? Also, by the way, notice in the background here, Malawan facility of some sort, Malawan crates, Malawan everything. But what the heck is this little gun? Is it an enemy? Is this like a little... If I had to guess, assuming Malawan is somehow going to turn out to be like an evil corporation, this could be one of like the little enemies that they have, which is just kind of rush you, like a bunch of these little gun robots maybe or something like that. We have no idea, but it's adorable regardless. Very freaking cute. Now here we can actually see our mech warrior getting inside her mech robot, which appears to digistruct, but just look how big the thing is, for crying out loud. Really freaking cool. And continuing on here. Oh, this is going to be kind of a fast sequence, so we'll go very slowly through here. Here we just see a bunch of different weapons, if I recall correctly. Wow, we got to go very slow through here. So, yeah, a bunch of different weapons, essentially, which is pretty cool. Now, this is interesting. They keep showing, like, a side-mounted weapon, which may actually be like a first-person perspective of us inside the mech warrior. We don't really know, but again, just looking at the weapons themselves, note how they look like they belong in the Borderlands universe, but they are so different at the same time. They're all completely unique. It's not like in Borderlands, a pre-sequel, where they took literally the same weapon models from Borderlands 2 and, like, just called them something different. These are all very different. And notice how in this weapon, this could actually be first-person gameplay of the flamethrower, but notice how tight that the flame spread is. It looks like almost like a laser weapon, essentially, like we saw in the pre-sequel, but with fire, which is pretty freaking cool. But here's going to be some shotgun action here, along with the ammo dump machines in the background. And I also have to wonder, we have a med machine back there, not a Zed machine. What's going on with Dr. Zed? I don't think we've seen anything about him in either this trailer or the Mask trailer. So what's going on with him? I have to wonder. But moving along here, we have yet more weapons. And I mean, this one looks like it could potentially be an Atlas weapon, which if Reese is actually running the Atlas Corporation, then Atlas weapons could actually make a return, which would be awesome. Here we see a really cool looking flame weapon. Once again, like, what is going on here? Like, it's firing a stream of fire, essentially, and it looks really cool as well. And we talked about this quite a bit on the stream, but notice how there's an ammo count or something, presumably, coming out of the gun right there, along with what appears to be the Vladoff logo, which is odd, right? It's really weird how that's there, but we may actually see another instance of that here in this trailer. I could be wrong, but I think we see at least one more of those. Here's going to be another pistol, but notice the phase lock, right? Notice the hand coming up just like the fist that we saw before. So there were a bunch of leaks and rumors a while ago that suggested that we're going to be getting 2 active abilities per Vault Hunter. Right, which would be insane if that turns out to be true. And here in this trailer, we saw the Siren not only have that giant Siren punch of death, but now we also see this where she can basically put them up in a bubble like we saw back in Borderlands 2. That's freaking cool, man. That is really, really freaking cool. Now here's going to be some more shots of different weapons. This gun in particular, I like how a lot of these have like this retro futuristic old west kind of Jacobsy look. This is probably a Jacobs weapon now that I think about it, but I love the look and the art style for so many of these weapons. They are all just so unique and cool looking. I mean, they all have so many different sights on them as well. They're all just so fantastic, man. Really freaking good. I mean, look at this gun, for example. Going back to it, look at this gun. They're all so good. And this, by the way, that gas station area in the background, that appears to be the location we saw during the tech demo that Gearbox gave us ages ago. I could be wrong, but just based on looking at this versus the tech demo, that might actually be the location, which is kind of a cool little Easter egg here in the trailer. But moving along here, we have just more shots of different guns. Again, Malawan, they're everywhere. I feel like Malawan essentially runs that giant neon city. Like, they're everywhere when you're in that city. And they may be an evil corporation. They may be working with, we may work with them, actually. They may be the good guys. We don't know, but Malawan's definitely going to be playing a pretty big role in this game. And speaking of Atlas weapons, I mean, does that not look like an Atlas weapon to you? Looks like an Atlas weapon to me. Here's going to be what I would consider to be like a white or a green quality Malawan submachine gun, just judging off the, the appearance there. It doesn't look like, it kind of looks like the low tier Malawan weapons, the low budget ones that we saw back in Borderlands 2, but of course a little bit different. Here we see, again, this looks like first-person footage of the Mech Warrior. I'm not sure. Of course, we have no idea. This could be a new weapon type for all we know, but it just kind of looks like that. Here we see what appears to be, again, the ice weapons making a return, which would be fantastic if that turns out to be the case. Here we're going to see a close-up of some of these psychos on Promethea, which, again, they look like, your normal traditional psychos, but they're a little bit different. Their heads are a bit different shaped, and, of course, they're working for a cult, essentially. And, again, here's that side-mounted thing. This really does look like we're inside that mech robot. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like. We see so many instances of this throughout the trailer, and every time the weapon is a different color, which is off-putting. So is there going to be maybe that's the customization you can give the mech robot? I really don't know, but here's another one of those weapons. So freaking cool looking, man. So freaking good. We get so many shots of so many different great guns. Again, Malawan stuff there in the background, different and unique sights on the weapons themselves. This here is going to be a rocket launcher being fired. And this, we talked about this a lot during the stream, but what the heck is going on with this weapon? Now, it appears that it's a beam weapon of some sort, right? Like you can see the white beam coming out of it as we move around here, but what's growing on the end of it? Like, what the heck is that? Like, why is that there? Is this a unique weapon? Is it a legendary weapon? Is this somehow hinting at the Malawan Corporation being evil and experimenting on these weird creatures and somehow using those creatures on the guns? Like, I have no idea. No freaking clue. What the heck is that supposed to be? Moving along. Again, we see, I guess it's only on the Vladov weapons that we see that little thing projecting from the weapon itself, which is strange. So maybe this is suggesting that, the Vladov weapons are going to have some sort of a mechanic which involves like overheating and firing very quickly or something. So I'm noticing it's always the same Vladov symbol along with an ammo count next to it. That's two different weapons so far we've seen, which is really strange. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, but maybe Vladov's going to be a little bit different this time around. Here's going to be a chest with some pistols in it, as well as wherever that is there in the top right. I have no idea what is in the top right of that chest, but some first-person footage of that pistol right there. This weapon looks fantastic. Love it. Love the sights on these guns, which is really cool. There's also been a bunch of leaks, by the way, saying that there's going to be some weapon customization, which is like, what? How do you customize weapons in Borderlands? I mean, the fun of Borderlands is like getting the drops, getting different parts built onto them, essentially. Like different, non-Unkempt Herald, for example, if you go to the torque vending machines and you go through like 50 different Unkempt Heralds, they're all going to be different one way or another because they're going to have different stocks, different grips, different barrels, different sights and stuff like that. But perhaps, and just judging from all the weapons we've seen so far, perhaps it's possible that we're going to be able to customize like the sights that we have on our weapons. Like maybe the sights won't come predetermined. Maybe we can actually, the sights won't affect your damage whatsoever, and you can put cosmetic sights on your weapons, for example. Maybe that's the case. I have no idea. We're speculating here, guys. But as you can see, I mean, there's so many different sights. That looks like a holographic sight from the COD series, for example. There are so many different sights that we see here. What the heck is this? Speaking of sights, what is that supposed to be? And we actually talked about this quite a bit. Notice how the foot of the soldier's on the ground. And I'm probably wrong about this. Obviously, the perspective here is on the ground, looking up at that bandit who has a giant door as a shield, essentially. But what if this is either suggesting that sliding is going to be a feature in the game, or are we going to have, like, down the shields like we see in Apex Legends? That's a possibility, but I'm thinking sliding's going to be in the game because we not only see that right there, but going forward, and again, the sidearm thing, different color every time, no idea, probably just customization for the Mech Warrior, but going forward, we're going to see another instance of somebody sliding, like with their feet on the ground, which is really strange, so we'll be seeing, again, maybe it's just going to be footage of them being down on the ground, we really have no idea, but again, more sights. The weapons look very unique, all of them look so much different as compared to other ones. That's a shotgun right there, and I'm noticing, is he supposed to be swinging at us with that weapon, which is floating in the air? Not really sure. And that reminds me, we have to go back and check out the Beastmaster here once we get towards the end of the video, because that reminds me of something. But right here, we see the knees of the characters. So either this is the animation you have while you're downed, which is a thing, or sliding is going to be a thing. We really have no idea. Just judging from this, though, it's looking like the character's kind of crawling and shooting towards the enemy. So I'm thinking sliding may be a feature in this game, kind of like the butt slam was in the pre-sequel. They tried to implement new things every now and then, and maybe that's what we're going to see. Right there looks like a Jacob's revolver, by the way. Very nice. Now here's going to be some sort of a cannon of some sort. No idea what weapon this is, but really unique looking. And here, I love this weapon right here. If this is not a legendary, it should be. Notice how it says explosive written on the side. It kind of looks like an explosive, looks like a torpedo or something. It's so freaking cool looking, right? This is an awesome looking weapon. This may be one of our very first looks at a legendary weapon here in Borderlands 3. And then obviously there in the background, we have a giant, what looks to be a replica of a skull with spikes coming out of it. I'm not really entirely sure, but that gun, look at this gun, guys. Once again, so freaking good. Such a nice looking weapon. And, yeah, I mean, torque's going to be there. I would imagine torque weapons are going to be back. Right here, we see what may be the cryo weapons returning once again. This potentially, I can't quite tell. Maybe an Atlas, maybe not, though. It's a bit more gray than Atlas. But again, we're just looking at so many different sights and so many different weapons here. It's all fantastic, man. It all looks so freaking good. These weapons all look fantastic. They all fit within Borderlands. They don't just piggyback off the... They take inspiration from Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel and stuff, but they don't just, you know, take it whole cloth. And by the way, there's that same gun, I suppose. Does it say explosive on the side? It's really hard to see. It's kind of blurry, and it's kind of like... we can't really quite tell, but this looks like a nicer version of the weapon that we saw previously, I suppose. This one's all black and red with a fancy sight there on the top. I'm basically convincing myself here. I think we're going to be able to customize our sights here in this game. There are way too many different sights and on all these different guns for that not to be the case. And there's a rumor that's been going around that they're going to not going to be having bandit weapons or scav weapons like we saw in the pre-sequel, but rather they're going to be replaced by the cultist weapons, essentially, right? The Children of the Vault. Essentially, those guys are going to have, like, their own brand of weaponry, and this may be that. This may be one of those weapons we're looking at, because it's all goofy looking, and it looks like a bandit weapon, but apparently bandit weapons may not be here, because if you think about it, if we're going to Promethea, and this Children of the Vault cult runs everything, then maybe they would be the bandits. All the bandits basically work for them, so maybe they have their own weapon type. We'll have to wait and see, I suppose. Here's going to be a big boss fight, I would assume. I mean, that guy looks like a cross between Red Eye's Black Dragon and Deathwing and some sort of a skull monster and a Rackhive shooting... shooting lightning out of there with, like, wings on it, apparently. Like, that's gonna be a boss fight of some sort with a cool-looking Hyperion weapon, I might note. And people are wondering, like, what's going on with Hyperion in Borderlands 3? Well, here's the thing about that. Hyperion may be basically gone, essentially. But if we are going to Promethea, it's possible that Hyperion prototypes were on Promethea this entire time but never made their way to Pandora, right? But it looks like we're going to be seeing some of those Hyperion weapons here in this game. And here's a weapon where it basically seems to just power up and then fire a projectile of some sort. And here again is going to be, this has to be the Mech Warrior robot. It just has to be. They've shown it so many times with different colors every time. So it's got to be it. Here again, Underground, Neon City, Malawan Corporation, Tedior, by the way, there's a Tedior weapon, so Tedior is going to be coming back. But yeah, Malawan, I'm interested to see what's going to be going on with Malawan. Now, right here is really interesting. Notice on the top left-hand side of your screen, that weapon right there, the pink weapon with a really cool-looking stock and everything. What is that supposed to be? Exactly. Is that just a fancy appearance, or is that going to be a new element of some kind? Because obviously slag is an element, but rumor has it that slag's not going to be in this game, and rather something other things are going to be there. And if slag's not there, and since slag is purple and this is pink, is this going to be a completely new element in this game? I mean, we really have no idea, but it's a freaking awesome looking gun. Really freaking awesome looking. Definitely like that quite a bit. And there you get some close-ups, I suppose, of the weapons themselves. But, I mean, nothing to really dig too far into. And here is going to be, ladies and gentlemen, the Borderlands 3 logo. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. Officially, Borderlands 3. So freaking good. Taking forever here as I'm going frame by frame, essentially. But Borderlands 3. So good. so good. That's not even into the trailer, guys. We still have a ways to go here. Well, actually, not too far left, but we still have a little bit of a ways to go. Here we see Claptrap. This is just basically Claptrap dancing, essentially, just kind of maybe showing off, you know, the fact that Claptrap's going to be here, as was Claptrap danced in the Borderlands 2 trailer, so maybe this is a callback to that. But notice just how worse for wear Claptrap is looking. I mean, the graphical upgrade, I freaking love it. It's so freaking good looking. But Clappy, I mean, man, he has seen better days. He has definitely seen better days. He's looking a little worse for wear there. He's been beat up quite a bit. He's the last Claptrap essentially in existence, and right here we see him dodge a rocket. Very cool. Very cool, but there's actually a bit more to this, I would say. Because as we see these different bandits and stuff running around in the background, we're actually in that neon city, that Malawan-looking city that we saw previously. But notice as he gets around, see Malawan right there yet again. As Claptrap lays down and there's an explosion, we see the open 24 hours sign in the background. Now, Randy Pitchford, during the reveal, talked about the Moxie's Bar that we saw during the Mask trailer. And he said that, yeah, that's a Moxie's Bar, but it's not the Moxie's Bar, right? This one here is basically just like it's like a beach bar, essentially. It's basically made out of a pirate ship, if you look at it, which makes sense given the fact that Moxie's wearing a bikini. But maybe this is going to be her big bar in the Neon City, and if Moxie's bar is there, then that would seem to suggest, and we can't see anything that says Moxie, but that would seem to suggest that this city would be like the new Sanctuary, or the new Concordia, or New Haven, or what have you, essentially, right? But, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The official reveal trailer for Borderlands 3. What an awesome trailer it was, and there's more to come on April 3rd, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to be talking about the Borderlands 1 remaster in a different video, but suffice to say, there is going to be a Borderlands 1 remaster, and on the day it comes out, there's going to be even more coming out about Borderlands 3, which is really interesting. I can't wait to learn more about the game. I feel like we've already learned so much about it just going frame by frame through this trailer based on the leaks and the rumors and what we know and what we think we know. And my gosh, guys, there is just so much to this. And to wrap things up here, I said I wanted to go back to the very beginning where we saw the Beastmaster. Notice how his little companion back here has a gun. And I'm like, okay, well, it's weird, right? Because why would a beast have a gun and be able to control a gun? But because we saw that earlier where the gun was just not in the character's hand whatsoever, it's possible that this gun is supposed to be in the hands of this beast right here. And if we go back to the Mask trailer, we see that same looking character with glasses and a hat on. So maybe this thing actually does have a personality. Maybe it really does talk to us, even though it's a beast, and maybe it works with the Beastmaster somehow. We have no idea, guys. We have so many questions. But we have a lot of answers as well, and oh my gosh, guys, Borderlands 3, we've waited so long for this, and it's finally here. I am so happy, and I would love to hear what you guys think about it down there in the comments. What did you think of the reveal trailer? Are you hyped about the game? Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments, and expect many more Borderlands videos that go up here on the channel in the very near future. If you guys haven't subscribed already, I would highly recommend it. We're going to be going very hard here with Borderlands 3, and man, it's going to be a very fun year here on Yours Let's Plays. But until then, I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you did, please drop me a rating, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.